Kayla. I'm the dietitian. How are you doing today?
Doing well. Nice to meet you. How are you?
I'm good. So, did you have a good week? Do you have any plans for the weekend?
No, I've had a great week. Not a whole lot going on this weekend. I work in the service industry, so my weekend is my work week. So.
How is that, working in the service industry?
It's the usual late nights, walking a lot, dealing with people that had more to drink than they probably should have with dinner. Overall good. Good work environment. I like the people I work with. It's because it's a different challenge every evening, so it keeps me entertained working there.
How long have you done that?
Particularly at Carson's, I have been working for a couple days short of 2 years, and then overall in the service industry, I have probably worked 5 or 6 years. But this is probably my favorite place I've worked so far. Most of the other places I've stayed for a year or less and bounced around, but this is the first one I've stayed that I really enjoyed.
So do you think it's like the people and the environment that's made you stay?
People, the environment, I make very good money there, so, and it's not a whole lot of like overhead where it's a privately owned restaurant. There's not like a corporate BS of any sort, like where this, or you have to talk about this or this or this. They kind of let you just do your thing, and as long as you don't get complaints, they're happy.
What do you like to do during your off days during the week?
I like rock climbing. I like hiking, playing with my dog, playing with my offspring, reading. More audiobooks now, though. I can't really sit still to read an actual book. But yeah, mainly like getting out, being active, trying to injure myself in the most creative ways possible.
Well, it's good that you're being active and you're doing that like on your off days, even though it sounds like you have like really busy like weekend work days, but you're still like trying to make that effort to be active when you can.
Yeah, and the good thing about service industry is during an average Saturday night, I'll walk about like 5 or 6 miles anyway, just walking around the restaurant. So still staying active on work days.
Yeah, so that's really good. Like it's really good to hear that you're being active and you're doing activities that you enjoy, which is always what we want to see. So tell me about like what brings you in today.
Well, I've been having some like increasingly worsening indigestion problems. That it started off as like like the occasional like cramps and stomach aches and stuff, and it's over the past like 7 months gotten progressively worse to where it's like it's almost debilitating. Like if I don't really know what I'm doing wrong because I brought in my food log and I feel like I'm eating a fairly healthy diet, but like I'll be doubled over, can't really move. And it's like if I eat like a really basic and bland diet for like a day or two, I usually start to feel better, but then I go back to my normal diet and it's like right back into indigestion, fatigue, really bad like bloating and like diarrhea and stuff like that. It's not super fun. So I came to my doctor. She said she suspects that I might have celiac disease, and then referred me to you.
All right, so it sounds like you're just having like some common symptoms of like celiac disease, and it's really good that you're deciding to make like the choice to come see a dietitian today. So do you know like anything about like what a dietitian does?
No.
So as a dietitian, my job is to help you feel better and like kind of solve those symptoms that you have from your celiac disease.
Okay.
So the way that we're going to do that is we're just going to have a conversation here, and I'm going to like go over what celiac disease is. We're going to go over your food log, which I really appreciate you filling out all of my assessment forms in that nutrition log. It really helps to try to like pinpoint certain areas of your nutrition that you can improve. And then we might set some goals and just talk about when we'll meet next. And all that. How's that sound to you?
That sounds great.
Okay. So I have a couple handouts for you about celiac disease. And we're just going to go over these. So initially, what celiac disease is as it says, it's an autoimmune disorder where the consumption of gluten. So do you know what gluten is?
I have heard of like gluten-free things, but I don't know exactly what gluten is or why I need to avoid it.
So gluten-free, like gluten is a protein that's found in wheat.
Okay.
So when people with celiac disease eat gluten, they kind of get a allergic reaction in their body.
Okay.
And this leads to damage in the small intestines. Within the small intestines, and as this nice little image here shows, within the small intestines are these little finger-like projections called villi. And they're responsible for absorbing our nutrients. And when we consume gluten and we have celiac disease, the gluten actually damages the villi in our small intestine, and over time, the whole absorptive surface of our small intestine decreases. So then we start to notice problems like indigestion and diarrhea and fatigue and all these other not wonderful things. So does that all make sense? Is that clear?
Yes, that makes sense. Is this something that you commonly see people developing like mid to later in life, or do you like to like diagnoses with kids and stuff with this?
It can go either or way. Some people don't start to have symptoms until later on after this absorptive surface of your small intestines has already been significantly damaged, and some people will see it like immediately.
Okay. And is this something that correcting these things in my diet and eliminating gluten, will I see like this will start to heal and I'll get these little intestine hairs back?
Yeah, so that's a really good thing that you said, because I put on here that people following a gluten-free diet will stop the symptoms, prevent further damage, and heal the small intestine within 3 to 6 months.
Okay.
Like, if you think about how short of a time like 3 months is, that's really incredible, and that's really cool that the body will actually do that. So
that is pretty awesome, because this sucks.
yeah, no one wants to feel gross when they feel like they're eating these really healthy foods and then they kind of don't feel good, and they're like, why don't I feel good? So
Okay, so what do I need to avoid to not eat gluten?
So that's actually a really good question. I want to start by saying like things that you can enjoy. You can enjoy foods like meat, fish, rice, and fruits and vegetables.
Okay.
So there's like this wide variety of foods that you can enjoy versus foods that you can't really enjoy. Some things that may contain gluten, and this is where like reading labels kind of comes in handy. Have you ever looked at like a nutrition label?
Yes. Not for gluten stuff, but just for basic nutritional content like protein content, that kind of stuff.
Well, you said you have seen like gluten-free labels before, right?
Yes. But I didn't really know what to look for on those.
Yeah. So
to see if it has gluten in it.
I really like this handout. It's from the Celiac Disease Foundation because it kind of goes over a gluten-free diet and food label readings, and it kind of shows you what a what a typical food label would look like, and some words that you may have to look out for, like whole wheat flour. My sheet that I also have for you gives you some examples of some uncommon terms that may have of foods that may contain gluten. So so things like vegetable protein, modified food starches, natural or artificial flavor, hydrolyzed plant protein, dextrin, and maltodextrin. Really big words.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
What sort of questions do you have?
What would be the thing that I'm getting with a vegetable protein? I would think that would.
So an example of like a vegetable protein, some vegetarian or vegan options are made out of what's called vital wheat gluten. And obviously, with the word gluten, it's basically flour that has been processed down So that's kind of where like reading food labels is important, and obviously we're starting to see like an increase in like gluten-free products as people are either
Right.
finding out that they have celiac disease or they just don't feel like they feel too good eating gluten.
Okay. And then, what kind of stuff would I see stuff like this in that I wouldn't necessarily think would be something that has gluten in it? Because I know working in the service industry that flour is commonly used as like a thickening agent in salad dressings and stuff like that. But anything else that I should look out for that kind of thing?
So you made a really good point with pointing out salad dressings. That is something that you do have to be careful about and make sure that you like read the ingredients. Or if you're having like a salad dressing at work, maybe asking the chefs like what they're putting in that salad dressing. If the restaurant like makes the salad dressing themselves, does Carson's typically make their own?
We make some of them. Some of them we do buy, but I think like 4 or 5 of them we do make in house. And I know that those do have flour in them.
Yeah.
Or some sort of wheat or cornstarch like thickening agent. Is corn okay? Can I have
Corn is good. Corn is
Okay.
good.
So I can have like cornmeal and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
So the other great thing about this handout is I provided you a list of foods that are safe to eat. And corn and cornmeal is one of those things that, if you notice, like right there, is safe to eat.
Fantastic.
Also, things that are used using like potato starch would be okay. Any different like types of flours. Do you like to eat a lot of like sweet things or baked goods?
Cookies. I do like cookies. Mainly that. Most of my other sweet things that I eat are like dark chocolate almonds and stuff like that, or chocolate and strawberries.
Dark chocolate and almonds is like one of my favorite things.
You ever have a little Trader Joe's dark chocolate sea salt and almonds?
Yeah.
Yeah, I buy like 5 cases of those every time. Those are like a massive staple of my diet.
Yeah. No, I can definitely agree that like dark chocolate is probably one of my bigger staples.
And I can still have those?
Yes, I still have those.
Sweet.
Just make sure, like, I don't remember the ingredients list completely off the top of my head, but just read the label to make sure. Yeah, just reading the label is going to be your most like crucial thing. And also, if you ever see like this contains statement, that means that it could contain gluten, or it could be made in a factory that uses or processes with gluten. So again, that just goes back to reading like the ingredient list and making sure that if you see anything that sticks out as like a gluten word, like another word or term for gluten. So yeah, which are some of those words that are listed here.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I'm also going to have to start being more careful about my cookie consumption.
Yes, because it's a bummer. But here's the great thing: do you like to cook?
I love to cook.
Do you like to bake?
I try very hard.
So you could definitely like try and experiment making your own cookies at home and your own like baked goods with those like alternative flours like buckwheat or like arrowroot or millet or like flax flour. You can make cookies using those. Now they are gonna have like a different texture than like your regular cookie, but you know,
Not like Mom's Blue Ribbon chocolate chip cookie,
yeah,
but something similar.
those cookies that we absolutely love when they come out of the oven and they're super warm and like gooey. There's always options for you out there. Like don't feel like you're never gonna have those really good like satisfying sweet foods because you can still have them.
Another question I have. So
Yes.
if we look at my food log, I'm going to assume that for the most part this is okay. Granola bar, that's bad, right? That has like grains of some sort in it. Like is oatmeal something I can have?
So oatmeal is a tricky thing. Most oatmeal is gluten free, but there are some oatmeals out there that may contain gluten. So that's where reading the food label kind of
Reading
comes
notes.
in. Yeah.
Okay. And then I'm going to have to be more careful with my tortilla selections.
What type of like tortillas do you like to buy?
I usually buy corn tortillas, but I am pretty sure that those have some degree of flour in them. Like they're made with corn and flour, I think.
Yeah.
I guess that'll probably be something I just have to look more into as far as finding some gluten-free tortillas.
So, like, going more into depth into, like, your food log, you were correct in saying that, like, most things that you eat are really good. Like, you make really healthy food choices, like the 3 eggs with, like, onion and spinach, and, like, the homemade salsa, and, like, boiled eggs with avocado, and tomato slices. The balsamic dressing, do you make that, or do you buy that?
I buy that. I will have to read the label on that one. I have no idea what's in it. It just tastes really good.
Yeah. So just checking the label on that, I don't think it will be a problem because most balsamic dressings are usually like balsamic vinegar and maybe like sugar. But again, that's kind of where like if it has any like natural artificial flavor, some manufacturers will use like gluten to try to like thicken those or use it as like a natural or artificial flavor. So just reading the like label and maybe like also reaching out to like the manufacturer and finding out if they use gluten in their factory.
Okay. So this is mainly going to be just a lot of reading.
Yes.
Lots of reading.
It's quite a bit of reading, but the good thing is once you have it down pat, it'll seem so easy. And we as like a society make it really easy too because we do have so many like gluten-free options out there now that are produced, and most companies are really good about labeling them.
Okay.
So, and there's like gluten-free sections in stores. So,
yeah, I'll have to start looking into that more. Something else I did have a question about is I'd also been suffering from like fatigue and lightheadedness during my exercises now. That had been getting like progressively worse. My doctor said that anemia might be a side effect of celiac disease. Is fixing my diet going to help like stabilize that, or do I need to like start taking iron supplements or anything like that?
So going on like a gluten-free diet will help that because, like I said earlier, one reason why you maybe like have a low degree of like anemia is because your intestines aren't absorbing iron as much as they should.
Okay.
Because your villi have been like damaged from consuming it.
Okay.
So, does that make sense?
Yes. In the meantime, between now and when my cilia heal, should I start taking supplements if I want to continue exercising?
I would just start incorporating more like foods that contain iron. So things like spinach and like the dark leafy greens.
Dark leafy greens.
Do you enjoy dark leafy greens?
I love dark leafy greens.
I assumed if you enjoy dark leafy greens, but it's good that you do enjoy those. So.
Yes, that red meat usually has a lot of iron, right? What would be something that you would recommend that is like as filling as pasta that is gluten free?
So that's really interesting.
Because I have a massive appetite, and that is one of my issues why I generally will turn to something starchy because I know I will then be full. But like throughout the day, earlier through the day, where I'm not eating, I guess, as many carbs in general. I'm still like kind of hungry most of the day. Before I go to bed, I like to be pretty full, or else I can't sleep very well.
So the really good thing about the gluten-free options that are out there is actually gluten-free pasta. Yeah, so you can still enjoy your pasta and still get that really satisfying feeling. Yeah.
Okay. And then you said something about goals.
Yes.
What would be my goals for before our next session?
So what are some goals that you think would be realistic that you could make in improving your diet? I mean, you generally eat a really healthy diet. The only two things that kind of stick out to me are like the granola bar and the whole wheat cookies for dessert.
Let's see. I guess more immediately, I can get rid of the granola bars and the cookies. Try and find some sort of alternative for those. I feel like for the most part, this shouldn't be too hard to adapt to. Like you said, just some reading, figure out what I can and cannot eat. Maybe investigating my balsamic dressing more thoroughly. But other than that, do you have any recommendations?
So, obviously, you're pretty much gluten-free, except for some stuff that may or may not contain gluten.
Like granola bar, tortillas.
Yeah.
The words whole wheat before cookie.
Yeah.
Kind of might get that away.
yeah, whole wheat is definitely like while it's really good that you're eating like whole wheat cookies. Again, the gluten. Yeah, it'll cause some of like this digestive and fatigue symptoms that you're having. So you feel like up to this point it's pretty manageable. Like you could definitely go with a gluten-free lifestyle.
Yes. No, this should be pretty easy. I really appreciate your help with this.
Yeah. Could we say like another goal would be maybe reading nutrition labels?
Yes, that would be a good one. Reading nutrition labels thoroughly.
So I think you have some really good goals here, and I think they're very achievable.
Thank you. And I appreciate you taking the time to work with me. Is there anything else you think we need to go over?
I think we've covered everything. We've discussed what celiacs is. We've discussed like your 24-hour recall and like going over that, and we've set goals. So I think it's all been really good. I do like my clients to follow up with me in like 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay.
If that sounds good to you.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So I'll hope to see you in 3 to 4 weeks and see how you're doing on your progress of following a gluten-free diet.
All right.
Thank you.